Okay, I'm going to show you how I'm going to repair these cracks in this coil. I'm going to take the coil off the frame. So first of all, the one coil lead's going to the points. We're just going to disconnect it here. A little socket. You just want to be careful with these wires. Don't bend them too much because they're really old and brittle. You'll break the coil away. Or break the wire out of the coil, sorry. Now I'm taking the ground wire off. It's grounded at the base of the points, where the points get held to the mag plate. This is just what I do with these coils instead of buying new ones. Like I say, you can buy the coils for these. Just going to put the nut back here so I don't lose it. You can buy these coils, but why waste the money? You can save this. It's not like it's an everyday saw that somebody's going to be cutting with. So right here and here are two spring clips that hold it onto the plate. They just pop off. I just stick the screwdriver in, give it a little twist. There we go. So now I'm going to be gentle with this. Lift it out because the coil wire is going to be into it. Hopefully the thing doesn't fall apart. We'll disconnect this screw right here. Or undo it. So we already know this coil has spark still. We just want to seal up the cracks, just gently lifting on these corners to break it loose. We know it has spark still. If you don't seal it up, the moisture can get into it and they start shorting out off the frame of the ignition coil, bracket, whatever you want to call it, mag plate. They start shorting out and it'll completely burn the coil out. I'm just going easy. I want to lift this out without breaking anything. A little bit of a bear to get it out of there. Just going easy because if I break it, it's garbage. Really seems to be wedged in there. There we go. Nice and gently off the mag plate. Set that off to the side. So now this is something they did with these coils. What I'm looking for is more of a crack. There's a crack right there. This is like a rubber insulator. Just being careful with it because underneath here is a little brass tab where the coil wire goes to. I don't want to break that off, then the coil is garbage. So if you're watching this and even interested, if you want to fast forward through me going through all that, you know, it's painful watching somebody farting around, pulling something apart. Wiping the worst of the sticky stuff off here. It's some sort of sealant that they used. So I just spraying some brake clean on a rag, because I don't want to soak in the cracks of the coil. I just want to get the worst of this off. I'm going to bring it back because I see it's 6 minutes 24 seconds. I'm going to bring it back. Alright, so use the rag and that to get the worst of it off. I'm going to use this Dremel tool with a little wear wheel. The wear wheel is almost shot, but it'll work. What I'm doing is just roughing up the area with the Dremel tool where I want to epoxy over the crack. This is just giving it a good clean surface with a bit of tooth to help the epoxy stick to it. We don't want the epoxy coming off. The crack went right around the side there, so I'm going to do it. I'm going to do this end too. Sorry, I can't tell if I'm in frame or out of frame. Dust is getting to me today. So I'll take my rag, some brake clean again. I'll just wipe it down good, get the shit off where I've cleaned it. Wipe the ends where I'm going to epoxy it. Okay, I'm going to get the epoxy out and mix it up and we'll be back. Alright, so this is a two-part epoxy. You can use any epoxy. I just mixed it up on this cardboard. You can use any brand you want. I like the Gorilla brand epoxy. I've had good luck with it. I just got it from my work. All I'm doing is taking a screwdriver and rubbing it down, putting the epoxy down into the crack. We're just filling it in, just sealing it up. This is a 5-minute epoxy. You can use whatever you want. It's just to fill in the cracks. Keep the moisture and stuff out. Depends on how much I've mixed up. Sometimes I'll go right around the end of these. I like wearing these nitro gloves or whatever you want to call them from work. I buy them at work. Just saves getting all that epoxy and shit on your fingers that you can't get off. Takes months to wear off. Doesn't matter how much you put on as long as it's not getting in the way. You want to fill it in, doesn't matter how it really looks. As long as it's doing the job right. Alright, so now I know you can't see where it's going, but I'm just going to clamp it over in my vise. Give it about 10 minutes to dry up, and then I'll put it back on the mag plate. Anyway, sorry that's such a long drawn out video. Some people are curious how you repair the coils. That's it. Just a two-part epoxy. I like the Gorilla brand epoxy. Anyway, if that helps somebody out, fantastic. And thanks for watching, thanks for subscribing, and thanks for commenting and leaving thumbs up. Till later, we'll get back to you. This was a Hornet 3600 ignition coil. Still good, but we'll seal it up before it becomes garbage. Okay, so bringing you back, I got the points, or the coil, sorry, the coil all epoxied up, cleaned the points while it was out even though it had spark, re-gapped them. The mag plate's back in its proper place. All tightened down. Now I'll put the flywheel back on and check for spark, and we'll go ahead and put the flywheel, the starter dogs, and all the parts back on. So I'll bring you back when I get a little further along. Alright, just brought you back to show you we got spark. It's hard to see looking through the camera. Anyway, you always want to make sure you got spark before you button it all up complete. So there you are, we got spark. You should have spark just flipping the flywheel over. That's what we got, so we're ready to carry on. Alright, so we got the wire back fed through the screw, and it feeds through that post. These screws can't be snapping tight because these have to pivot like that. There, the starter dogs can come back. Centrifugal force, push them out like that. This pops up, and then you have to push the thing down to start it. Anyway, it's a little closer. I think while I got the fuel tank and everything off, I'll pull this carburetor off, check the reads, and we'll put it in the ultrasonic cleaner. When we get to pulling the carb apart, I'll get back to you. Alrighty, the carburetor looks fairly clean on the outside. It's because I've taken it to work and cleaned the whole engine the best I could in the parts cleaner. Didn't put anything down the engine, just clean the worst of the grease up. Okay, these screws seem to be corroded in the throat of it. I pulled the air breather off this. I'm just going to leave these. So I always wind these down to see where they're at. This is the low speed jet on the top. So it's half, 1, 1.5, 1 3/4. It should have never been down in that far. That's way too far, or out that far. Usually around half a turn for the low speed jet. Because these are different than, like I've said many times, these are different than the carburetors we have today. These don't have a diaphragm. A diaphragm carburetor, as you screw the jet out, the low speed jet out, it gives it more fuel. This works reverse. As you screw the low speed jet in, it gets less air, makes it draw more fuel. This one, the high speed jet, see where we're at, she's stuck. Doesn't surprise me. There's half. Yeah, that's way out. That should be about 1, 1.5, and it's at a half. Probably because, I don't know. People get friggin' with stuff they shouldn't touch. The high speed goes right through and into the center part. You should wind this all the way out. In the center part of the carburetor goes into it, and if you don't wind it out, it catches on and breaks the tip of it off. When you're winding the jets in, check to see what they're set at. Just go very, very gently. Don't crank them down in tight. This is your float bowl drain. I'm going to take it out of the way because it's in the way of one of the float bowl screws. Then that's a bit of a problem. It's right up against the base of that. So we'll just work around it. It's going to make it awkward to get that screw out, but we'll do it. High speed jet's a really long one, pointed. There's the phone. We'll be back in a minute. Okay, I went ahead with H's. I managed to get that front piece off. Got the drain out. So I've left all 4 screws in here on purpose. We're going to give this float bowl a smack. What I'm trying to do is break the gasket free without busting it. If you have the screws on it, then the whole thing doesn't go sideways like that and break it off. It's not looking good. I see it stuck to the bowl and the top. Got it broke loose. We'll see if we can get it wiggled apart. Try getting in behind it with a razor blade and just wiggling it loose. Okay. Gasket didn't survive. I'll make a new one. That one's really screwed. So I'm glad I took it apart. You can see all kinds of crap down there. Old cork gasket's pretty much euchred. Should have been a little more careful with it to use it as a template, but I think I got one here. Okay, so right there is a screw to take the float pole out, or the float out. Everything's corroded, and this thing was made in the 40s. So that screw is basically the hinge pin of the float. Wow. There's a good reason to have an ultrasonic cleaner. Just like bubblegum, Atari shit in there. There's your needle and seat right there. When I was saying about the jet, there's where it goes into, right in there, and controls the amount of the fuel going down through. Take this screw out. The brass screws are really corroded into it, gummed up bad. Hopefully we can save this carb. There's another jet right here. It's a long tube. Right there. Little wee gasket right there. Got to be careful with it and get it off. You got to push back down. Right down the bottom is another jet. I won't even attempt to get it out. It's so gummed up I'll just wind up destroying it. I'll try getting it out after the ultrasonic cleaner, or just look down through, blow down through it, make sure it's clean. There, that gasket's down there. Through the center, this is hollow. And right there's a little orifice. You'll probably never see it on the camera. But when I'm done with the ultrasonic cleaner, I'll blow air through the tip of this, make sure it comes out. Off camera, I'll put this in the vise. These are always a killjoy to get out and get the needle valve out of it. Anyway, when I get more, I'll get back to you. Okay, there's the carburetor after going through the engine cleaner, or the carb cleaner. It's by Clean Flow. It doesn't clean the brass up that nice. I give the brass a little buffing off. It does clean it good, and if you give it a quick buffing on, I've got a brass wheel on my grinder, and I just give it a quick rub, and it seems to leave some sort of funny color on it. Anyway, it definitely cleans way easier, the brass, after being in the carb cleaner. So I got to make a float bowl gasket, and then it's ready to go back together. Okay, the carburetor's on. Nice and clean, happy with it. I'll put on the breather and the fuel tank next, and then I'll put the transmission back on. Get a bit further ahead, I'll bring you back. Okay, it's all back together. I've tried to start it. In the video I'm not going to bother showing the footage. I pulled and pulled and pulled. It's got 90 pounds compression. It should run. I've run these old girls on less compression than that. I know they should be higher for 2 strokes, but the older ones that do run, I'm going to pull the cylinder off and have a look to make sure a couple of the rings aren't hung up or something. Check it out anyway. While trying to start it, the cable broke. I put a rope in there. Then the spring broke. It was quite the ordeal trying to get her up and running. But anyway, when I get it apart, I'll get back to you. Alrighty, Cliff's saw's all back together. Unfortunately, I don't have everything I need to get it going, so the saw is going to be on the back burner till we can find. Unfortunately, it needs a cylinder. It's got 90 pounds compression. I know that's not good for a 2-stroke, but they will run on 90 pounds compression. I figured this saw would run, or I wouldn't bother, start posting videos on it. Anyway, unfortunately, you can't get them all going. The chrome on the cylinder started to peel. It's peeled away quite significant around the intake ports in the cylinder. I'm going to attach a picture. So unfortunately with all the chrome missing, it just allows the fuel to blow right back towards the carburetor. When the piston comes up to compress the fuel, it just blows by where all the chrome's gone. Enough compression to run, not the greatest, but if the chrome had have been good, this saw would have been a runner. It's all back together for Cliff for now, and anyway, maybe Cliff will find another cylinder for it. It's a nice clean saw, the carburetor's cleaned up. I've made a new fuel line, cleaned the carburetor, like I said. Epoxied the coil up. The coil had a crack. It's got really nice, good spark. Anyway, that's it. If find a cylinder, we'll get back at this. If not, I'm sure I'll find another project. Anyway, thanks for watching. Thanks for subscribing as always, and thanks for leaving thumbs up.